1 of The Ivory Child. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Ivory Child by H. Rider Haggard. Chapter 1. Allen gives a shooting lesson. Now I, Allen Quatermain, come to the story of what was, perhaps, one of the strangest of all the adventures which have befallen me in the course of a life that so far can scarcely be called tame or humdrum. Amongst many other things it tells of the war against the Black Kendah people and the dead of Jana, their elephant god. Often since then I have wondered if this creature was or was not anything more than a mere gigantic beast of the forest. It seems improbable, even impossible, but the reader of future days may judge of this matter for himself. Also he can form his opinion as to the religion of the White Kendah and their pretensions to a certain degree of magical skill. Of this magic I will make only one remark. If it existed at all, it was by no means infallible. To take a single instant, Harût and Marût were convinced by divination that I, and I only, could kill Jana, which was why they invited me to Kendahland. Yet in the end it was Hans who killed him. Jana nearly killed me. Now to my tale. In another history called The Holy Flower I have told how I came to England with a young gentleman of the name of Scroope, partly to see him safely home after a hunting accident, and partly to try to dispose of a unique orchid for a friend of mine called Brother John by the white people and Dogeetah by the natives, who was popularly supposed to be mad, but in fact was very sane indeed. So sane was he that he pursued what seemed to be an absolutely desperate quest for over 20 years, until, with some humble assistance on my part, he brought it to a curiously successful issue. But all this tale is told in The Holy Flower, and I only allude to it here. That is at present to explain how I came to be in England. While in this country I stayed for a few days with Scroope, or rather with his fiancée and her people, at a fine house in Essex. I called it Essex to avoid the place being identified, but really it was one of the neighbouring counties. During my visit I was taken to see a much finer place, a splendid old castle with brick gateway towers that had been wonderfully well restored and turned into a most luxurious modern dwelling. Let us call it Ragnall, the seat of a baron of that name. I had heard a good deal about Lord Ragnall, who, according to all accounts, seemed a kind of Admirable Crichton. He was said to be wonderfully handsome, a great scholar, he had taken a double first at college, a great athlete, he had been captain of the Oxford boat at the University race, a very promising speaker who had already made his mark in the House of Lords, a sportsman who had shot tigers and other large game in India, a poet who had published a successful volume of verse under a pseudonym, a good soldier until he left the service, and lastly a man of enormous wealth, owning, in addition to his estates, several coal mines and an entire town in the north of England. "Dear me," I said when the list was finished, "he seems to have been born with a whole case of gold spoons in his mouth. I hope one of them will not choke him," adding, "perhaps he will be unlucky in love." "That is just where he is most lucky of all," answered the young lady to whom I was speaking. It was Scroope's fiancée, Miss Manners, "for he is engaged to a lady that, I am told, is the loveliest, sweetest, cleverest girl in all England, and they absolutely adore each other." "Dear me," I repeated, "I wonder what fate has got up its sleeve for Lord Ragnall and his perfect lady love." I was doomed to find out one day. So it came about that when, on the following morning, I was asked if I would like to see the wonders of Ragnall Castle, I answered yes. Really, however, I wanted to have a look at Lord Ragnall himself, if possible, for the account of his many perfections had impressed the imagination of a poor colonist like myself, who had never found an opportunity of setting his eyes upon a kind of human angel. Human devils I had met in plenty, but never a single angel, at least of the male sex. Also there was always the possibility that I might get a glimpse of the still more angelic lady to whom he was engaged, whose name, I understood, was the Honourable Miss Holmes. So I said that nothing would please me more than to see this castle. Thither we drove accordingly through the fine, frosty air, for the month was December. On reaching the castle Mr. Scroope was told that Lord Ragnall, whom he knew well, was out shooting somewhere in the park, but that, of course, he could show his friend over the place. So we went in, the three of us, for Miss Manners, to whom Scroope was to be married very shortly, had driven us over in her pony carriage. The porter at the gateway towers took us to the main door of the castle and handed us over to another man, whom he addressed as Mr. Savage, whispering to me that he was his lordship's personal attendant. I remember the name because it seemed to me that I had never seen anyone who looked much less savage. In truth, his appearance was that of a duke in disguise, as I imagine dukes to be, for I never set eyes on one. His dress, he wore a black morning cut-away coat, was faultless. His manners were exquisite, polite to the verge of irony, but with a hint of haughty pride in the background. He was handsome also, with a fine nose and a hawk-like eye, with a touch of baldness added to the general effect. His age may have been anything between 35 and 40, and the way he deprived me of my hat and stick, to which I strove to cling, showed, I thought, resolution of character. Probably, I reflected to myself, he considers me an unusual sort of person who might damage the pictures and other objects of art with the stick, and not seeing his way how to ask me to give it up without suggesting suspicion, was hit upon the expedient of taking my hat also. In after days Mr. Samuel Savage informed me that I was quite right in this surmise. He said he thought that, judging from my somewhat unconventional appearance, I might be one of the dangerous class of whom he had been reading in the papers, namely a anarchist. I write the word as he pronounced it, for here comes the curious thing. This man, so flawless, so well instructed in some respects, had a fault which gave everything away. His H's were uncertain. 3 of them would come quite right, but the fourth, let us say, would be conspicuous either by its utter absence or by its unwonted appearance. He could speak, when describing the Ragnall pictures, in rotund and flowing periods that would scarcely have disgraced the pen of Gibbon. Then suddenly that H would appear or disappear, and the illusion was over. It was like a sudden shock of cold water down the back. I never discovered the origin of his family. It was a matter of which he did not speak, perhaps because he was vague about it himself. But if an Earl of Norman blood had married a handsome Cockney kitchen maid of native ability, I can quite imagine that Samuel Savage might have been a child of the union. For the rest, he was a good man and a faithful one, for whom I have high respect. On this occasion he conducted us round the castle, or rather its more public rooms, showing us many treasures and, I should think, at least 200 pictures of eminent and departed artists, which gave him the opportunity of exhibiting a peculiar if somewhat erratic knowledge of history. To tell the truth, I began to wish that it were a little less full of detail, since on a December day those large apartments felt uncommonly cold. Scroope and Miss Manners seemed to keep warm, perhaps with the inward fires of mutual admiration, but as I had no one to admire except Mr. Savage, a temperature of about 35 degrees produced its natural effect upon me. At length we took a short cut from the large to the little gallery through a warmed and comfortable room, which I understood was Lord Ragnall's study. Halting for a moment by one of the fires, I observed the picture on the wall, over which a curtain was drawn, and asked Mr. Savage what it might be. "That, sir," he replied with a kind of haughty reserve, "is the portrait of her future ladyship, which his lordship keeps for his private eye." Miss Manners sniggered, and I said, "Oh, thank you. What an ill-omened kind of thing to do." Then, observing through an open door the hall in which my hat had been taken from me, I lingered, and as the others vanished in the little gallery, slipped into it, recovered my belongings and passed out to the garden, purposing to walk there till I was warm again and Scroope reappeared. While I marched up and down a terrace on which I remember several very cold-looking peacocks were seated, like conscientious birds that knew it was their duty to be ornamental, however low the temperature, I heard some shots fired, apparently in a clump of ilex oaks which grew about 500 yards away, and reflected to myself that they seemed to be those of a small rifle, not of a shotgun. My curiosity being excited as to what it was to be an almost professional matter, I walked towards the grove, making a circuit through the shrubbery. At length I found myself near to the edge of a glade and perceived, standing behind the shelter of a magnificent ilex, 2 men. One of these was a young keeper, and the other from his appearance I felt sure must be Lord Ragnall himself. Certainly he was a splendid-looking man, very tall, very broad, very handsome, with a peaked beard, a kind and charming face and large dark eyes. He wore a cloak upon his shoulders which was thrown back from over a velvet coat, and except for the light double-barrelled rifle in his hand, looked exactly like a picture by Van Dyck, which Mr. Savage had just informed me was one of his lordship's ancestors at the time of Charles I. Standing behind another oak, I observed that he was trying to shoot wood pigeons as they descended to feed upon the acorns, from which the hard weather had made them greedy. From time to time those beautiful blue birds appeared and hovered a moment before they settled, whereupon the sportsman fired and they flew away. Bang, bang went the double-barrelled rifle, and off fled the pigeon. "Damn," said the sportsman in a pleasant, laughing voice. "That's the 12th I have missed, Charles." "You hit his tail, my lord. I saw a feather come out. But, my lord, as I told you, there ain't no man living what can kill pigeons on the wing with a bullet, even when they seem to sit still in the air." "I have heard of one, Charles. Mr. Scroope has a friend from Africa staying with him, who, he swears, could knock over 4 out of 6. "Then, my lord, Mr. Scroope has a friend what lies," replied Charles as he handed him the second rifle. This was too much for me. I stepped forward, raising my hat politely, and said: "Sir, forgive me for interrupting you, but you are not shooting at those wood pigeons in the right way. Although they seem to hover just before they settle, they are dropping much faster than you think. Your keeper was mistaken when he said that you knocked a feather out of the tail of that last bird at which you fired 2 barrels. In both cases you shot at least a foot above it, and what fell was a leaf from the ilex tree." There was a moment's silence, which was broken by Charles, who ejaculated in a thick voice: "Well, of all the cheek!" Lord Ragnall, however, for it was he, looked first angry and then amused. "Sir," he said, "I thank you for your advice, which no doubt is excellent, for it is certainly true that I have missed every pigeon which I tried to shoot with these confounded little rifles. But if you could demonstrate in practice what you so kindly set out in precept, the value of your counsel would be enhanced." Thus he spoke, mimicking, I have no doubt, for he had a sense of humour, the manner of my address, which nervousness had made somewhat pompous. "Give me the rifle," I answered, taking off my greatcoat. He handed it me with a bow. "Mind what you are about," growled Charles. "That there thing is full cocked and air triggered." I withered, or rather tried to wither him with a glance, but this unbelieving keeper only stared back at me with insolence in his round and bird-like eyes. Never before had I felt quite so angry with a menial. Then a horrible doubt struck me. Supposing I should miss? I knew very little of the manner of flight of English wood pigeons, which are not difficult to miss with a bullet, and nothing at all of these particular rifles, though a glance at them showed me that they were exquisite weapons of their sort and by a great maker. If I muffed the thing now, how should I bear the scorn of Charles and the polite amusement of his noble master? Almost I prayed that no more pigeons would put in an appearance, and thus that the issue of my supposed skill might be left in doubt. But this was not to be. These birds came from far in ones or twos to search for their favourite food, and the fact that others had been scared away did not cause them to cease from coming. Presently I heard Charles mutter: "Now then, look out, governor. Here's your chance of teaching his lordship how to do it, though he does happen to be the best shot in these counties." While he spoke 2 pigeons appeared, one a little behind the other, coming down very straight. As they reached the opening in the ilex grove they hovered, preparing to alight. For of us they could see nothing, one at a distance of about 50 and the other of say 70 yards away. I took the nearest, got on to it, allowing for the drop and the angle, and touched the trigger of the rifle, which fell to my shoulder very sweetly. The bullet struck that pigeon on the crop, out of which fell a shower of acorns that it had been eating. As it sank to the ground, stone dead. Number 2 pigeon, realizing danger, began to mount upwards almost straight. I fired the second barrel and by good luck shot its head off. Then I snatched the other rifle which Charles had been loading automatically from his outstretched hand, for at that moment I saw 2 more pigeons coming. At the first I risked a difficult shot and hit it far back, knocking out its tail but bringing it, still fluttering, to the ground. The other two I covered, but when I touched the trigger there was a click. No more. This was my opportunity of coming even with Charles, and I availed myself of it. "Young man," I said, while he gaped at me open-mouthed, "you should learn to be careful with rifles, which are dangerous weapons. If you give one to a shooter that is not loaded, it shows that you are capable of anything." Then I turned and addressing Lord Ragnall added, "I must apologize for that third shot of mine, which was infamous, for I committed a similar fault to that against which I warned you, sir, and did not fire far enough ahead. However, it may serve to show your attendant the difference between the tail of a pigeon and an oak leaf," and I pointed to one of the feathers of the poor bird which was still drifting to the ground. "Well, if this here snipe of a chap ain't the devil in boots," exclaimed Charles to himself. But his master cut him short with a look and lifted his hat to me and said, "Sir, the practice much surpasses the precept, which is unusual. I congratulate you upon a skill that almost partakes of the marvellous, unless indeed chance—" and he stopped. "It is natural that you should think so," I replied, "but if more pigeons come and Mr. Charles will make sure that he loads the rifle, I hope to undeceive you." At this moment, however, a loud shout from Scroope, who was looking for me, reinforced by a shrill cry uttered by Miss Manners, banished every pigeon within half a mile, a fact of which I was not sorry, since who knows whether I should have it all or any of the next three birds. "I think my friends are calling me, so I will bid you good morning," I said awkwardly. "One moment, sir," he exclaimed. "Might I first ask your name? Mine is Ragnall, Lord Ragnall." "And mine is Allan Quatermain," I said. "Oh," he answered, "that explains matters. Charles, this is Mr. Scroope's friend, the gentleman that you said exaggerated. I think you had better apologize." But Charles was gone, to pick up the pigeons, I suppose. At this moment Scroope and the young lady appeared, having heard our voices, and a general explanation ensued. "Mr. Quatermain has been giving me a lesson in shooting pigeons on the wing with a small bore rifle," said Lord Ragnall, pointing to the dead birds that still lay upon the ground. "He is competent to do that," said Scroope. "Painfully competent," replied his lordship. "If you don't believe me, ask the under keeper." "It is the only thing I can do," I explained modestly. "Rifle shooting is my trade, and I have made it a habit of practising at birds on the wing with ball. I have no doubt that with a shotgun your lordship would leave me nowhere, for that is a game at which I have had little practice, except when shooting for the pot in Africa." "Yes," interrupted Scroope, "you wouldn't have any chance at that, Allan, against one of the finest shots in England." "I am not so sure," said Lord Ragnall, laughing pleasantly. "I have an idea that Mr. Quatermain is full of surprises. However, with his leave, we'll see. If you have a day to spare, Mr. Quatermain, we are going to shoot through the home coverts to-morrow, which haven't been touched till now, and I hope you will join us." "It is most kind of you, but that is impossible," I answered with firmness. "I have no gun here." "Oh, never mind that, Mr. Quatermain. I have a pair of breech loaders" (these were new things at that date) "which have been sent down to me to try. I am going to return them because they are much too short in the stock for me. I think they would just suit you, and you are quite welcome to the use of them." Again I excused myself, guessing that the discomfited Charles would put all sorts of stories about concerning me, and not wishing to look foolish before a party of grand strangers, no doubt chosen for their skill at this particular form of sport. "Well, Allan," exclaimed Scroope, who always had a talent for saying the wrong thing, "you are quite right not to go into a competition with Lord Ragnall over high pheasants." I flushed, for there was some truth in his blundering remark, whereon Lord Ragnall said with ready tact, "I asked Mr. Quatermain to shoot, not to a shooting match, Scroope, and I hope he'll come." This left me no option, and with a sinking heart I had to accept. "Sorry I can't ask you too, Scroope," said his lordship, when the details had been arranged, "but we can only manage 7 guns at this shoot. But will you and Miss Manners come to dine and sleep tomorrow evening? I should like to introduce your future wife to my future wife," he added, colouring a little. Miss Manners, being devoured with curiosity as to the wonderful Miss Holmes, of whom she had heard so much but never actually seen, accepted at once, before her lover could get out a word, whereupon Scroope volunteered to bring me over in the morning and load for me. Being possessed by a terror that I should be handed over to the care of the unsympathetic Charles, I replied that I should be very grateful, and so the thing was settled. On our way home we passed through a country town of which I forget the name, and the sight of a gunsmith's shop there reminded me that I had no cartridges. So I stopped to order some, as fortunately Lord Ragnall had mentioned that the guns he was going to lend me were 12 bores. The tradesman asked me how many cartridges I wanted, and when I replied 100, stared at me and said, "If, as I understood you, sir, you are going to the big winter shoot at Ragnall tomorrow, you had better make it 350 at least. I shall be there to watch, like lots of others, and I expect to see nearly 200 fired by each gun to the last lake stand." "Very well," I answered, fearing to show more ignorance by further discussion. "I will call for the cartridges on my way tomorrow morning. Please load them with 3 drachms of powder." "Yes, sir, and an ounce and an eighth of No. 5 shot, sir? That's what all the gentlemen use." "No," I answered, "No. 3. Please be sure as to that. Good evening." The gunsmith stared at me, and as I left the shop I heard him remark to his assistant, "That African gent must think he's going out to shoot ostriches with buckshot. I expect he ain't no good, whatever they may say about him." End of chapter 1.
Dark fantasy. Convoy. Weary days. Hot and stink. 9 days. Not a sign of another boat. Another human. All those minutes. 9 days. Open boat. I can't believe yet that it's 1934. 9 days ago, I thought I'd get a scoop. How well I remember. I talked Winston Everly into going with me, using his private yacht far out into the Atlantic, where things were happening. Together we defied precautions, offered ourselves as bait for some unseen devil beneath the waters of the Eastern Sea. And that was 9 days ago.
Well,
I've been on deck an hour. There's nothing.
I told you it was useless, didn't I?
I'm still not convinced that it is. Something has happened to those 3 missing ships.
Certainly something has happened to them. They simply sank, that's all.
But it isn't all. It's plain nonsense. Thinking those 3 boats went down with all hands on board with not a clue to their disappearance. Besides, what about their radios? Not a distress signal was picked up. All 3 cases.
I know, but that's still not a sign something unusual has happened.
Well, just use your head, man. This is 1934. Boats just don't go down in the Atlantic without someone somewhere knowing about it.
These 3 certainly did. Just disappeared into nothingness without leaving a trace. And I still say something went wrong in each case that can be explained in a natural, normal manner.
And I say that you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, don't be so violent in what you have to say. After all, I've gone this far with you. I might as well see it through.
I'm sorry. Just anxious, that's all.
Yes. So am I. There's no sense biting each other's heads off. We may need them before we're through with this.
I've set the automatic pilot. All's clear.
Good. I'll go up on deck and have a turn at the wheel after a bit. Game of rummy?
Oh, I don't think so, thanks.
Poker?
No, thanks.
Got a cigarette?
Yes, somewhere. That last ship, the SS Clara Anna, went down just about where we are now. The other two somewhere in this vicinity. Oh, here's a smoke.
Thanks. Why do you say the ships went down in this vicinity, Adams? No one knows where they went down.
What I mean is they were last heard from within a vicinity of, 50-mile radius sphere, all of them.
I admit it would be a strange coincidence for all three of them to disappear in such a small area, but, well, stranger things than that have happened at sea.
It's not a coincidence. Something has happened to those boats which none of us can explain. Something that isn't ordinary.
Mr. Everly.
Oh, what's that?
Brown in the radio room on the talkback system.
Mr. Everly.
Hand me that microphone, will you, Adams?
Sure, here.
Yes, Brown?
Just got a report that all passengers on those 3 remaining ships have been reported safe.
You mean the boats have been found?
No, sir. The passengers from all 3 ships were set adrift in the lifeboats.
Well, what's happened to them?
Well, none of them seem to know. They're all in perfect health, though. But they're all in a stupefied condition, as though they've been drugged.
That's strange. Huh. Any further news?
No, sir, none. I just picked it up from a news broadcast from the States.
Thanks, Brown.
Now, what do you think, Everly?
Strange. All hands from all 3 ships set adrift in the lifeboats, and none of them knowing what happened to them.
And all of them in a drug condition.
That doesn't make sense. No one could drug 3 boatloads of passengers.
Through the drinking water?
Half of them don't drink water when they're aboard.
Still, they were drugged.
But how, man? How?
That's another mystery I'd like to clear up.
Then perhaps you can.
What? I say.
Where did you come from? Who are you?
My name is Siegfried.
How did you get on board?
Where did you come from?
One question at a time, if you please. I came on board in the same manner I boarded the other boats lately.
The others?
The 3 others.
You're responsible for what happened to those boats?
Yes, I am.
But how? Why?
I needed them for my own purposes.
You destroyed them?
I sent them to the bottom of the Atlantic.
I repeat, you destroyed them?
Quite the contrary. I used them to a very good advantage.
What do you mean?
Would you like to know?
I certainly would.
Then I shall be glad to show you if you wish. It will entail a trip to the bottom of the sea.
You're talking like a madman.
Am I? I regret you think so, because I assure you I am by no means demented in the slightest degree.
Those people set adrift in the lifeboats, apparently drugged. What happened to them?
It's naturally best that they do not know what happened to them. They were not harmed. They were carefully guarded against danger, and no harm shall come to them.
But the boats?
The cost of the boats and the inconveniences which naturally arise through their loss have all been taken care of. And each passenger has been repaid 10 times for everything he was forced to leave behind when placed in the lifeboat.
I don't understand all this. Who are you, anyway?
I shall tell you soon. But now we must make haste. Time is most valuable.
What are you going to do?
You told me you wished to see what I did with the 3 boats. I'm ready to grant your wishes and to take you to the depths of the Atlantic.
But,
You see, I need your boat.
My boat?
Yes, I've come to take it. I welcome you to go along with me, if you wish.
But where? What are you going to do with the boat?
I've already told you I need it. Together with the others, I have use for it. At the bottom of the sea.
That's perfectly ridiculous. No one has need for a boat down there.
I have.
How do you propose to take us there?
I cannot tell you that. You will merely do as I say. I will take you down beneath the surface safely, and I will return you safely.
How can we be certain of that?
I have given my word. You will find that the word of Siegfried always has been kept. Down through the ages, the centuries.
Centuries?
Hundreds of thousands of centuries.
Do you mean that you're actually a creature from the bottom of the sea?
I'm a man like you. I'm not a creature. Here, drink this.
What's that?
Merely what I gave the others. It's quite harmless.
I don't want it. Take it away.
I assure you that if you don't consume the potion of your own will, I have the means of seeing to it that you do.
Better do what he says, Everly. Here. I'll take the first draft.
You're a wise man, Mr. Adams.
Oh, you know my name.
I know everything. Now the potion.
As agreed. All right.
Now, Mr. Eberle, for your radio man and mechanic have already been set adrift. They will arrive safely ashore within a few days. None the worse for their experience. Mr. Eberle?
No. No, I won't take it. Take it away. Get away from me.
It's too late to change your mind now. You will drink all of this.
No, I don't want it.
I give you one more opportunity.
No, I refuse. I'm no fool. I won't take it.
Very well, then, Mr. Eberle. There.
What have you done to her?
I told you I had the means of compelling you to take the mixture. Now it's well with both you and Mr. Adams. I shall take your boat and the two of you along with it. Are you quite all right now, Mr. Adams?
Yes. Yes, I guess so. Where are we?
Where I promised to take you. The bottom of the Atlantic.
So strange here. Light. Like the light above. This is almost like the place up there. Oh, surely you're jesting. This is no spot beneath the sea.
Oh, but I assure you it is, definitely. Your stubborn companion is about to rejoin us.
What's happened? Oh, Adams, are you all right?
Yes, he's quite all right. And you, sir?
What in the world did you do to us?
I gave both of you an ancient formula, one which induces your spirit to leave your body momentarily. Then I brought you here and permitted your spirits to return again.
But where are we?
You are 50,000 leagues beneath the sea.
Why, we can't be.
So your companion thought, Mr. Eberle. You're both mistaken.
There's no water, no seaweed, no sign of underwater creatures.
No, indeed. That's because you've been brought not to just an ordinary place.
What do you mean? What place is this?
This is the ancient continent of Atlantis.
Atlantis, you say?
I've never heard of the place.
That's because you're not a student. Your friend, Mr. Adams, seems to know quite a bit about it.
Yes. An ancient continent, once located in the Atlantic Ocean. Thousands upon thousands of years ago.
And which disappeared beneath the surface of the Atlantic.
But that sinking of the continent began more than 1 million years ago, according to our scientists.
And so it did. Slowly, over thousands of years, Atlantis began to decline, to be claimed by the waters, and new lands began to rise. South America, your continent, they had no existence in the days of Atlantis. And far to the west lay the mighty land of Mu.
But what about you?
Well, finally, after hundreds of thousands of years, all of Atlantis had been consumed by the hungry waters, except the island of Poseidonis, so named after the god of the sea.
Yes, I know that. Poseidonis was destroyed by volcanic eruption.
Not destroyed entirely, but the volcano's disturbance sent our land far beneath the sea, and that was 9,000 years before the death of Plato.
11,000 years ago.
Yes, roughly speaking.
But you say this land of yours wasn't actually destroyed.
No. There were in our land wise men from Greece, and together with our wise ones, they foresaw the volcanic disturbance and the sinking of Poseidonis.
Yes. This is the ancient island of Poseidonis, last home of mighty Atlantis.
Yes.
And you have existed here all this time.
There is no time here, no death, only life.
Amazing.
Now we're fighting to preserve our life, our civilization. After these 11,000 years, our existence is threatened by the vicious waters.
What do you mean?
I mean, we suddenly found ourselves without sufficient materials to keep our underwater fortress safe against the water's destruction.
Wait a minute. Now I'm beginning to understand.
We needed metal, and lots of it, to use for reinforcing the portions of our continent which was threatened by the water.
And that's where the 3 ships went, and Eberle's yacht.
That's correct, Mr. Adams. In our desperation, I saw no other solution. I chose the boats containing the most metal, went aboard, and saw to the complete safety of the passengers. And then our men brought the ships down here to be dismantled and to salvage the metal. Here, I will show you.
A sliding panel there. Half of the room sliding away.
You see out there? The men of Atlantis putting the final touches upon the patchwork that will make our fortress secure for hundreds of years to come, thanks to the metal from your continent.
Why, this place is just as modern and advanced as our civilization.
You will find in many instances that it's more advanced. Now I will show you that we are as honest and as upright as any other people of the world. This is the treasure room of Atlantis.
Harvey, look. Jewels, gold and silver, treasures of every sort here.
The room is completely filled with valuable treasures.
Each passenger on those boats we confiscated received a portion from our treasure room, enough to more than repay him for whatever loss he suffered, and the boat owners were paid double the value of their vessels. When you return to the surface above, you will be given a portion likewise in payment for your yacht, Mr. Eberle.
I've never seen quite so many valuables together in one place in all my life.
Oh, come now. I've shown you the explanation of what has been happening. It's time we refresh ourselves, and time you were preparing for your return journey.
I knew I could find my way back to this vault. Just look at the treasure hidden here. Chest upon chest of beautiful jewels. Necklaces of pearl. Beads of precious jade. Loose gems and some set in the finest gold. And over there, bar upon bar of gold and silver, and some strange metal here I've never seen before. Oh, 100,000 fortunes hidden here, where no one will ever use them. What's that? The door. The light. Emily, are you in there? Adams?
Yeah, I've been looking for you. Is there any light in here?
Yes, just a second.
Close that door. What are you doing in this treasure room?
That fellow who calls himself Siegfried says we'll leave here soon, and I'm taking some of this treasure with me.
But he said you were to have a portion of it.
Yes, in pay.
Listen up with you.
I'm taking some he won't know about.
But you can't. It's not right.
What difference does it make? No one will use this stuff. Might as well take some of it where it's as gems as I can. I know I have the 11,000 years. I that. He's about in his 11,000th childhood, I'd say. Here, hold these diamonds.
But I don't want any part of this.
I'll take care of getting them away from here.
Eberle, I advise you not to do this. Listen.
You came you. You could not conquer the worldly desire to steal our treasures.
You'll never use them.
Nonetheless, they still belong to us.
Why not let us take them where they'll do us some good? They're useless laying here.
I had intended to give each of you enough of the treasure to make you wealthy me from doing so.
Look here, Siegfried.
Those are loves to Adams have known better than 10,000 years ago in vice. Till the same greed and sin and iniquities included all evil And so I gladly send you back with boat to pay for your... You get that before you reach the safer torture.
Days adrift. Long weary days. Big sun. More food. Unconscious in the bottom of the... Moving. Lifting his head. Eberly.
Oh.
Eberly, man. Eberly.
Still
Steady, man.
Oh, will this never end? Will torture never end?
Easy, man. Take it easy.
A month? 10 years?
Only 9 days.
9 days. Only 9 days. I can't stand it, Harvey. I can't stand it any longer.
Save your strength, man.
I'm going mad. I can't stand it. There in the bottom of the boat. The chest of treasure in payment for my yacht.
Eberly! Eberly!
What good will it do now? We'll be dead when we reach shore. Oh, we'll be dead.
Steady.
But nobody else will get it.
What are you going to do?
There won't be left here for anybody else. I'll see to it that no one else gets his hands on it.
Eberly!
He cheated us out of the rest of that treasure.
Eberly, don't jump!
No one else will get this.
Eberly!
I'll take it.
Eberly! Dark fantasy.
You have heard Convoy for Atlantis, tonight's original tale of dark fantasy by Scott Bishop, originating in the studios of WKY and based upon an idea suggested by Ken Wright. Ben Morris was Harvey Adams, Murilo Schofield took the part of Winston Eberly, and Garland Moss was Siegfried, ruler of Atlantis. Next Friday, Dark Fantasy will be heard over most of these stations 25 minutes earlier. Listen for The Thing from the Darkness from Oklahoma City.
Нулта секција од За македонските работи. Ова е запис на LibriVox. Сите записи на LibriVox се во јавниот домен. За повеќе информации или за да волонтирате, посетете LibriVox.org. Чита Ана Наумаска. За македонските работи од Крсте Петков Мисирков. Нулта секција Предговор. Секој човек, како член на некоја општина или некое другарство, има извесен долг и извесни права кон и од нив. Народот не е ништо друго осим едно големо другарство, основано на крвно сродство, на општ произлез, на општи интереси. Паметувањето на тоа родство, тој произлез и тие интереси, заставуваат секој член од некој народ да се одречит од некои своји права и интереси, за да посвети част од своите сили на општата арнотија. Тоа е долгот кон народните интереси, зашто членот од народноста добијат заштита на своите лични интереси тамо, каде не се доста само неговите сили. Долгот кон народот е тесно врзан со долгот кон татковината, зашто понатието народ е тесно врзано со понатието таткоина. Долгот кон народ и таткоината зависит од приликите историски кои преживуваат еден народ и една страна. Тој се применуваат кон приликите. Долгот кон таткоината и народот до неговото осуштествување се вели народен идеал и кон неговото осуштествување треба да се стремит секој свесен човек. Народниот идеал се применуваат кон историските прилики и тоа што денеска било народен идеал, утре по неговото осуштествување ќе отстапи место на друг, за кој понапред мало се мислело. Често пак од еден народ, историските прилики требаат или корено изменување на народните идеали, коренен обрат на идеалите во друг правец, или угрожаваат нему со полно уништожување. Народните идеали, или долгот кон таткуината, се разбираат од разни членови на народот различно. Кој најверно ја разбрал истинскиот и најправиот народен идеал, се види со порамнувањето на разбирањето од народниот идеал од разни лица. За да може да бидат порамнување и оценување на различно разбраните народни идеали, треба тие да бидат искажани устно или на книга. Искажувањето на своето разбирање на народните идеали и критиката на таквија не е празна работа, зашто идеалите се душата на општата народна работа и од здравоста на таа душа зависи и здравоста и плодноста на самата општенародна работа. Лошо разбраните народни идеали само големуваат народните нестреки, без да донесат полза на народот. Така разбирајќи долгот кон таткуината, јас се решив, прво, да изложам моето разбирање на народните идеали на македонците во еден ред расудувања, прочитани во Петроградското македонско-словенско научно-литературно другарство Свети Климент, а после и да ја напечатам во таја книга, каде се поместени расудувања непрочетени во упоменатото другарство. Со тоа, мислам да исполнам, спроти моите сили, еден дел од мојот долг кон народот мој и кон таткуината ми. Мнозина од македонските читачи ќе бидат удивени од појавувањето на таа книга. За удивување ќе им биде во неа много. Некои ќе речат: зашто отцепување од бугарите кога ние досега сме се велеле бугари и соединувањето, а не расцепувањето прави силата? Друзи ќе расудат: оти со полното отцепување од една страна ќе восторжествуваат нашите непријатели кои што направуваат сите своји сили да ослабнат балканските словени, за да си подготват почва за разделување на балканските земји помеѓу нив. А од друга страна, оти они ќе не натераат нас македонците да се откажеме од нашиот прв долг, да се бориме за политична слободија, да разрушиме се досега направено и да зафатиме се одноо, така да се речит од азбука. Треки ќе најдат оти јас проповедувам некаков надеж за поправување на турците спроти нас и на европејски реформи во таткуината ни. Кога досега јасно било докажано, оти ни Турција сакала, сакат и ќе сакат реформи во Македонија. Ни државите сет наклонени да ја принудат Турција за да ни дајат некакви, па и најмали реформи. Државите, велат мнозина, само играат дипломатична игра со реформи, за да не склонат нас, да се откажиме од вооружена борба со Турција, од која се нарушуваат нивниот мир, а пошто се одречиме од таа борба, тие ќе ослабат да бараат од Турција реформи за Македонија. Тие се најглавните возразувања што очекувам од мнозина од моите сонародници. Ми се чини, оти они не се прави и ето зашто. Во ноата книга се зборуваат вистина и за отцепување и за соединување, но за отцепување од тие што сме веќе отцепени и со кои никој пат не ќе ни позволат да се соединиме, а за соединување со тие со кои сме морално задолжени да се соединиме и со кои соединувањето е возможно. Ако со нашето отцепување од балканските словенски народи достигнеме соединување на сето македонско-словенско население во едно цело, ние не ќе ослабнеме, туку ќе се усилиме, така да од исполнувањето на идеите што се развиени во таја книга, само ќе се оправдат послоицата да е силата во соединувањето. Сега се питат, дали од нашето отцепување од балканските народи ќе се восползуваат нашите непријатели и кои се тие? сега во Бугарија ед мода да зборуваат да сет најголеми непријатели на балканските Словени, русите и австро-унгарците, кои сакаат на почва на македонското прашање да се зафатит и продолжит една борба меѓу србите и бугарите, која ќе ослаби силите и на едните и на друзите до таква степен што ќе треби да се набркаат во балканските работи Русија и Австро-Унгарија, и првата ќе завојуваат Бугарија и Стамбул, а втората Србија и Солун. Јас ќе си позволам да не се согласам со такво глабоко политичко далековидение. Може и бугарите и се прави кога мислат оти Русија без Бугарија не може да существува ни политично, ни економски, но тоа е бугарска политика и јас не сум намерен да политиканствувам бугарски. Јас сум македонец. Интересите на мојата татковина ми се представуваат така. Не Русија и Австро-Унгарија сет непријатели на Македонија, а Бугарија, Грција и Србија. Само енергична борба со тие три држави ќе избавит од погубување нашата татковина. Борбата со трите балкански држави не противречит на нашите интереси кои се достигаат и со револуција, и со еволуција или постепено развивање на нашиот народ во морално-религиозен праец. Револуцијата стана, иако има најужасни последици за нас, пак даде некои благодатни резултати, со кои што можат да бидат задоволни нашите борци за национална слободија. Тоа се миртешките реформи, кои ќе бидат расширени според нуждите, што ќе се покажат со време. Идеите за полно отцепување на нашиот народ од другите балкански народи не се противречие на досегашното работење на нашиот народ за слободија, а само продолжение на неговото досегашно работење на почва еволуција. Досега, нашиот народ се интересувал повеќе само за полна политична автономија, а во националните наши интереси допушкал пасибузучки да му се набукуваат разни неканени гости, како бугари, грци и српи. По политичната борба идит значит националната. Но борбата со пропагандите во Македонија не е чекор назад, туку напред, зашто и тука имаме работа со борба за слободија, со борба со мрачните сили, што не дозволуваат на татковината ни сама со своји очи да гледат своите интереси, ами и наврзуваат дврдзала, што омрачуваат истината и придаваат бугарска, српска и грчка боја. Време е да отфрлиме од очите наши мрежите, што ни кладоа националните и верски пропаганди во Македонија. За нашите односи кон турците, јас можам да речам само едно. Ние сме задолжени да направиме се што се барат од нас, за да докажеме на Турција, од и нејното останвајне како европска држава стрекават во нас полно сочувство. Ние сме задолжени да бидеме лојални поданици на неговото царско величество султанот. Но, при тоа бараме и ќе бараме од неговото правителство цел ред реформи, кои ќе ни сочуваат најглавните интереси на нашето национално и културно развивање. Јас мислам, оти ние треби да бидеме лојални кон Турција, но, предполагајќи оти турското правителство и народ ќе разберат најпосле оти интересите на нивната држава во Европа, совпадаат со нашите и зависат најмногу од нив, а не си противречат. И затоа турците први ќе треби да докажат искреното сакање да се во мир со нас и со тоа да заслужат нашата поддршка на нивните интереси. Ако пак тие мислат со нас да не се церемонат и да лажат Европа и нас со реформи кои не исполнуваат, то не ќе се удиви Турција, ако и ние обрниме нашите возгледи кон Европа и од неја бараме да се воведат во таткоината ни со сила тие реформи што се признаваат од силите европејски за истинска требност за успевањето на религиозно, националното и културно развивање на македонските рисјани. Европа ќе обрни возгледите на нашите барајна, зашто она е задолжена да направи тоа со два меѓународни актови. Проектот за реформи во Македонија од февруар и миртштескиот проект. Тие два меѓународни актори ни обеќаваат постепено расширување на реформите во Македонија, а со тоа даат ни право да се обраќаме до двете реформаторски држави со меморандуми и по друзи патишта, за да им покажеме на нашите религиозно-национални и економски нужди, како и на тоа што прави Турција за да се исполнит тие наши нужди. Знам многу арно, оти мнозина со иронија ќе се однесат на моите надежи за европејски реформи. Но, на тија иронија еве со што јас ќе одговорам. Не е истина кажувањето да не ќе излезит ништо од усилата на Русија и Австро-Унгарија да се уредат работите во Македонија. Проектите за реформи и усилата да се воведат тие не се како што мислат мнозина само игра да поминит време и да си останит се како што си било.